All right, let's move on to the number 3 player on the ESPN Top 50 big board, which is Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. So I'll start on this one. The first thing I wrote down on my notes for Jeremiah Love is home run hitter. He is a big play threat every single time he touches the ball. This last season, he averaged 6.9 yards a carry. And the reason why he is a home run hitter is because he was actually a state champion sprinter in high school. He has elite acceleration to get away from defenders, and he's very patient behind his offensive line. Once he finds the hole, he's able to get up to full speed in a hurry. But I think what really makes Jeremiah Love special is his ability to re-accelerate after slowing down to make defenders miss. A lot of running backs have good initial acceleration, but when they have to slow down to try and make somebody miss and then speed up again, it's just not the same. It's the exact same as his initial acceleration for Jeremiah Love. He can start and stop on a dime. He reminds me of Jahmyr Gibbs in that way. His re-acceleration is elite, and it allows him to get away from defenders. Additionally, he's very shifty just in general. He's able to make people miss with hurdles, jukes, or just straight speed. However, with the jukes and the hurdles and stuff, I think that's kind of one of his areas of improvement because I think he tries too hard to make cool plays. He puts himself at risk to get hit and take big hits. I think he does that too much. Like when I watched his tape, I saw several hurdles where he hurdles one defender, but then as he's going down, he's getting tackled by 3 other defenders coming to the ground. I even saw plays where he's trying to hurdle people at the line of scrimmage when they're not even close to the goal line. So like I think he just tries to be a little bit too flashy, but overall his ability to dodge defenders and just accelerate through the hole is elite in my opinion.
I think this. I want to start by saying I'm never that high on running backs. I feel like for the most part they have the shortest lifespan of any player in the NFL, any position in the NFL, and I feel like most of the time they are kind of subject to the offensive scheme and the offensive line that they have. I look at Genty and I'm like, look, everyone's still just kind of waiting to see what this kid's all about. He's had a whole year, but they're still just kind of like, oh, just wait till he gets, a good line. And I've seen too many running backs kind of come out of nowhere and have a great season, that maybe just they weren't drafted very high, they hadn't gotten a shot somewhere else. And I think most of the time it comes down to situational football, whether that's just, hey, he was peaking at the right time, the offensive line was, just humming at that point. I say that just say that I don't ever feel like most running backs should be taken that high unless they are genuinely a generational talent. And I do not feel that Jeremiah Love is a generational talent. I think he had a great season. I completely agree with what Joel said. I think that he is a little too lean. I think he gets a little too cavalier with his play style. I think that his physical attributes, his physical talents has carried him very far thus far in life. I do not think that he will be able to rely on those solely in the NFL. I think he might get broken too quick. I think he might get drafted to a team that needs him, which really means that they need an offensive line. If you've had an offensive line, any running back would do. And that's usually my opinion. If you're a healthy, young running back in the league and you did well in college and you are an NFL player, I feel like if you've got a good line, like you can do it. And I feel the same way with quarterbacks in general. Like the what Joel said about, oh, Fernando Mendoza, if he's not pressured, he can make the throw. I'm like, hopefully every quarterback can do that, and it really just comes
Well,
down to
Justin
like,
Fields can, that's for sure.
yeah, but he just plays for the Jets, and that's just a whole separate thing. But I do feel like, for the most part, it's not like, hey, what, it's usually like, what are you willing to do when no one's watching? What do you do when put to the test? Anyone can say like, oh, I'm going to, I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to do this. Like, but what about when you're tempted? Like, that's really, that's what you're made of. And so I see this as like, hey, if I'm kind of trailing off here, but if a quarterback, has to break out of the pocket, that's the kind of stuff. It's like, let's see what you do. Let's see what natural intuition you have here. And I feel like Mendoza and Baker Mayfield kind of have that, where it's like every time they go on a little scramble, it's like they're usually making something out of absolutely nothing, sometimes less than nothing. That being said, I do think Jeremiah Love has an insane talent. I think that he is very good, but I don't think that he is good enough to be top 6 in the draft. I think that there are better players at different positions than basically drafting a running back that isn't a generational talent this high up.
He's not Adrian Peterson. Right.
He
He's
is
not
not.
Adrian Peters. He's not
He is
that type
not.
of running back.
Nope.
Sorry, Will. Go ahead.
No, I like this because I have a completely different take. I have a completely different take. I love Jeremiah Love. I think he is maybe not the best, maybe not the best athlete in this draft. I think best athlete probably goes to Caleb Downs or Arvell Reese. But Jeremiah Love, like you mentioned, Joel, his ability to stop, and then start running, that's what makes him such a good receiver as well. He's able to swing out in the flat, stop moving, get the ball, make one cut, and then he's downfield. And if you get him in the open field, he's gone. It is over. And I think that makes him incredibly useful to a lot of these teams, especially the bad teams that are going to draft him. I truly think Jeremiah Love goes top 10. And I think that's what these bad teams need, is a way to slow down defensive linemen, because their offensive line is terrible. And so, just real quick here, not that we're diving into stats or anything, but I'm going to do it anyway. His sophomore year, so 2024, total rushing yards were 1,125 at Notre Dame. That's 70 yards per game. The very next year, last year, his junior year, he ran for 1,300 yards, 1,372 yards, which was 114 yards per game. His yards per game skyrocketed. And then you can say, out of use, they were using him more, they were feeding the ball more, they played 4 less games. All of that is contributing factors, but his ability and his just natural gift, like you said, Avery, carried him incredibly far. And when it comes to running backs, that's what you have to have. As you mentioned, Joel, in high school, he was a state champion sprinter, and that is incredibly important. Also, as you mentioned, kind of just parroting everything you said, he runs upright, leaving himself exposed, and that's why he gets hit so much. He also needs to work on his pass blocking. He can catch the ball well, but if he wants to be that every down back, he's going to have to work on his pass blocking as well.
Something just to note real quick, and then we'll move on. He's never had more than 200 carries in a season. So although he does expose himself to the big hits, they didn't give him an Ashton Genty type of workload. So that's a plus for him going into the NFL, especially if he goes to a team where it's a 2 running back system, such as the Lions, where you've got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's the speed guy, and David Montgomery, who's more of just a bruiser type of guy. So I think that would be the perfect situation for Jeremiah Love.
Never more than 200 carries, but he did have more than 200 touches if you don't count the receptions.
Yes,
so
that's true. Yes, but he's not Christian McCaffrey touching the ball 413 times. That's
so much ball touching. Irresponsible amount. I know I said it before, but I'll say it again. An irresponsible amount.